What's happening, guys? Sam Adams here, and we just finished watching the Ubisoft press conference live over on mixer.com/Samuel Adams. Special shout out to everybody that came out and hung out in the chat. It was a very good time, but we are going to be talking about the top 5 games that came out with this year's show. The entire conference kicked off with Beyond Good and Evil 2, as many people expected that it would. However, we also saw our first look at Pey'j and Jade, who is a younger Jade, and in fact is the nemesis in this game. She is apparently the bad guy. It looks to be that way. As far as this cinematic trailer goes, a really fantastic way to get hardcore fans hyped up about this brand new game, even more so than they already were. Give them a shot of Jade. The longtime fans will definitely be happy about that. As far as the gameplay goes, I am definitely impressed with what I am seeing here. Of course, there is the confirmation of co-op coming into the game, as we all expected, but on top of that, it does look to be a much more polished version of the game as compared to what we saw at last year's E3. Of course, more mechanics are gone into in detail if you want to check out more of the trailer and of what the developers actually had to say, but when it comes to Beyond Good and Evil 2, what you need to know is that it still looks to be in very good hands. However, on top of that, there's also the Space Monkey program, I believe is what it is actually called. Yes, it is the Space Monkey program, which invites artists of a music nature, of any kind of painting or anything like that, to submit their own kind of work into the Space Monkey program and have the chance to actually be featured within the game on a billboard, in any kind of music that might be playing on a radio, any of those little small intricate details. They want to bring in ideas from the community that are passionate about the world of Beyond Good and Evil or otherwise. Then we saw Trials Rising, which was actually kicked off by a man riding down the show floor on a motorcycle in what appears to be an Evel Knievel kind of outfit, and then he wrecked the Ubisoft podium. I digress. It was a fantastic little showing of the next Trials game. Of course, for those that are not familiar with Trials, it very much so is dependent on you crashing and having to restart a lot. It is a very challenging game depending on what level you are playing, but it is a game that is so much fun to grind out and continue playing overall. In the trailer, it does seem there is more environmental interaction, but on top of that, there is a limitless amount of content to be made from the community itself, so if you want to give this game a lot of time, you definitely have the opportunity to do that, and if you are looking forward to it, you better hold on because that thing is coming out in 2019. Then we saw The Division 2, a game that was shown off at the Xbox conference and got a pretty warm reception, but at this conference we saw some more information, a new cinematic, and some gameplay that you guys should probably know about. Within The Division 2, the Black Friday virus is not necessarily your main issue. The big thing is that the social fallout that happened because of the virus is still impacting pretty much the entire eastern seaboard and therefore the entirety of America. Washington has been shut down, and that's pretty much the setting that you are experiencing going into The Division 2. The biggest news about The Division 2 that you need to know is that raids are going to be coming to the game, and not only that, those are 8-man raids, meaning this is now a viable competitor to go up against the likes of a game like Destiny 2 or even Anthem, which, speaking of Anthem, The Division 2 might have a problem because the game is coming out on March the 15th, 2009, just a couple of weeks after Anthem, a game that is very much so catering to largely the same crowd. Then we saw Skull and Bones, Then we saw the pirate game Skull and Bones, which essentially takes those core mechanics of the Black Flag ship sections and really does kind of flesh that out into a full world and a full game, and it looks absolutely fantastic. I know I'm saying it a lot because these games look great, but man, I love what Skull and Bones is bringing to the table. It brings those classic customization mechanics, it brings that classic pirate feel, the vibe that you got from Black Flag, and it also incorporates a bit of a more in-depth kind of combat within the ship segments of the game. Overall, imagine the world of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, but take away the whole Assassin's side of it and just keep that ship part. That's literally what you are getting with this game, and I'm not complaining at all. That sounds fantastic because I loved Assassin's Creed Black Flag. As the running joke goes, it's the best not Assassin's Creed. Speaking of AC, that's an abbreviation for Assassin's Creed, we had a good, dense look at Odyssey, if you will, and the game looks to be a pretty worthy successor to Origins, but is it too similar to that game? As far as the game goes, you do have the option to play as Alexios or Cassandra. It's just a choice of what gender you want to play as. This is not an Evie Fry and Jacob Fry kind of situation where they work together, or even what happened with Origins. This is just you choosing who you want to play as, and so who you choose is who you play through the entirety of the story as. It's not a big definitive choice, it's just, what do you want, man? I also love that they have begun to embrace their RPG mechanics, because now you have the choice in dialogue that is much more in depth than what we saw in Assassin's Creed Origins. You can now lie to whoever you're talking to change the course of the game, kind of going a classic Mass Effect BioWare route almost. It looks like a really interesting twist on the game, especially as far as the story goes, but as far as the gameplay goes and the combat goes, it looks very much so like Origins. So if you were a fan of that, but you would like to play that in kind of a 300 Grecian kind of, you know, Spartan-like setting, I would highly recommend giving Odyssey a look. It's a beautiful looking game. The character models need some work. The vocal, you know, construction whenever words don't match up with mouths, that needs some work as well, but I do have faith this could be a good game. I'm still just so concerned about Assassin's Creed becoming an annualized franchise again. I don't want it to do that. I just want a quality Assassin's Creed game, maybe every 2 or 3 years. That sounds good. I will say that as far as the story goes, I'm much more invested and engaged than I was with the origin story at any point in its reveal or its release. This sounds like a really interesting narrative and one that I'm excited to jump into as either of the characters, but I am going to be playing this. I'm not sure when. It will probably be on launch day because it looks like a pretty good title, but we'll have to wait and see. It's just so much like Origins in the surface and in the combat. I don't know, man. I will say that the narrative of this game is much more engaging and it has me much more interested than Origins ever did at any point between its reveal and its release. I love what the story is bringing to the table, but of course I am partial to that Grecian setting, so maybe that's just my own personal bias kicking in. But I will say, I will probably be playing this one on day one, even though it is an annualized Assassin's Creed yet again. I said I would never do it, but man, I do love 300. I do love Spartans, I love Greece, and it's hitting me where it counts. And those are the top 5 announcements from this year's Ubisoft E3 press conference, in my humble opinion. If you enjoyed this video, drop me a like down below, and in the comment section, let me know what you think about Ubisoft's show. Was it good? Was it bad? Did you expect more? Did you expect less? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and also tell me what your favorite Just Dance song is. Just kidding, I don't care. If you're new to the channel, I do upload new stuff throughout the week, and there's a ton of E3 2018 coverage on there if you do want to check it out. But as for right now, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for watching this particular video. I will see you at tonight's Sony press conference, and yarg, because Skull and Bones.